going to be a moderated discussion that we have now. I've been told that the essence of the discussions we have now would be focused more on the kind of things we can do actually, which the ministry can take. So we have to come up with, from all the experience that sits in this room, we get to points which we can actually give to the ministry when we're talking of smart cities, because we are not just talking of smart cities which can end up in disasters or have serious problems that may arise from climate change. So when we are talking of smart cities, as the speakers earlier have said, we need cities that is not just talking of technology or economics or social. It has to be a good mix of the physical and the economic and social part. And we are talking of resilience. And resilience basically is that cities can actually manage to come out of problems as and when there are problems, and really be, in a sense, sustainable. So I think we'll open up the discussion here to talk about the resilience that the city should have. We have been talking, like has been spoken of earlier also, a lot on technology when we talk of smart cities. We talk of putting up various kind of systems. And as the previous speaker said, we need to get the governance systems going. We need to get the people involved. We need to look at different sectors and see how resilience can be built into different sectors. So I think we need governance, we need infrastructure, we need to look at the people who are most vulnerable. How do we get smart cities to actually be for all, smart cities for everyone, where everybody is a part and feels that it is their city and they must take care. We do have, if we have governance only from top, sometimes people kind of disown that kind of smartness. And we do not get the kind of cooperation that we need from people. So it is really bringing everybody together into this system and make it absolutely resilient. And resilience also comes from getting the governance structures right. So let me open up the discussion and get views from our very experienced and knowledgeable members here. The only request is that I think we all know many of the things, so we really come up with the specific things that we can actually give to the ministry. So anyone who would like to speak?
All right, I'll take it first then, because I have been associated with the private sector, and I understand that without the private participation, this is not going to be achieved, which everybody knows. I'll only take 2 points in this, because planning and execution, I think the government is expert and they are very good at that. When it comes to the regulatory authority, I must say that so far, in 60 years, we don't have a regulatory authority in the reality. That's exactly what we're doing. We're going to fail again. The whole system is going to fail again unless we bring in a reality regulatory reality. That was something I thought monitoring and regulatory is what we should bring in. Unless that is there, our cycle is not complete. Our planning and execution is not complete. The third thing the second thing which I wanted to say was the waste management, disposable management. See, that's something is missing. I mean, maybe this Delhi, Bombay, or anyway. We do have disposable units, but as is the waste management and disposable management is concerned, I think we have lost it. And we have hardly given any importance. These are the 2 things I thought I will communicate. The regulatory authorities and the waste disposal management.
Thank you. And it is important that we look at the private sector. Certainly the government cannot do anything, and the present government certainly is looking at the private sector, and there the regulatory mechanism is extremely important. And waste management is something that we have always talked about, because that is something that is most visible in a city. the most visible problem in a city is the waste management. So I guess we need to look at that. Anyone else would like to come in at this stage?
Yeah. This I've been to quite a few of the smart city discussions, and also as part of my job, I do look at city urbanization pretty closely. The major problem which has been flagged by the 74th Amendment is that the cities in India do not have a integrated governance structure. And I think for any smart city or a smart city, that will be the first thing that will come up, is that what will be the governance structure for these cities. The reason I bring it up is that a city like Mumbai or Bangalore, with the resource that it commands, it throws up a political structure, it can throw up a political structure which will be a rival to the state leadership. With this leadership of the city, we sit at peace with the state level leadership that it has. If it doesn't, then there is a problem there that in the interest of a state government would be to instead have smaller parastatals which work on specific solutions for specific cases, rather than building up an integrated larger level of authority, because that authority by force, because of the budget that it has, the taxation powers that it could have, the ability to command the resource, would be a very big issue vis-a-vis the state government. And this is a challenge that has not been addressed, or in fact, it's not that the governments have not tried, but it is a big challenge because other than Delhi, which effectively has a mayor, which is basically the chief minister, no other city in India has been able to tackle this challenge. Bombay, in fact, is a classic example. We have, if you can count the number of MLCs, the MLAs, the MPs that are there, they would number more than a few hundreds. Do any one of them, or does the entire group there speak in unison about the Bombay issues? If they do they speak about just Bombay, or do they speak about the larger greater Bombay? There's the same issue that is coming up in NCR, and I think unless this particular hump is addressed or crossed, it will not be possible to address. A smart city will be again faced with this issue of challenge. I've heard the word being used of CEO. Believe me, even the CEO will have the same political thing, because if I have an appointed CEO, she will have the problem of authority. What authority is she deriving her powers from? If she is an elected CEO, then perforce that issue will come up, that what and who and to what extent would her powers lie on. I think this is something that I would like to be thrown up.
Can I ask you a specific question? What would be your suggestions for this integrated government that you're talking about? You talked about parastatals. Now there are many already.
Like in any city, you have like for instance in Delhi, you've got jail boards, you've got a power supply guys, there can be a sewage disposal authority. No, none of them, they will all craft solutions which will be could land at cross purposes and would tend to land at cross purposes. Mr. Das pointed out about the pollution signal, that SMS that sent out. Usually solutions are never that smooth. Most solutions that come up tend to be fairly cutting at each other's authority. A roadways, a highway that has been created, if it, for instance, at its two ends are two municipal authorities, like as South Delhi Municipal Authority and East Delhi Municipal Authority, and two of them set up two different systems to guide the traffic. A smart city would need a guidance for traffic, and if they have two different systems, so there are many examples. Each one of us can think of. Many examples. Each one of us can think of. You'd all know much better.
So this governance structure you're saying should be at the state level?
No, what I'm saying is that it is either one possibility is that the state, that the city's chief becomes a part of the state cabinet. In that case, she or he becomes, doesn't become an immediate threat to the chief minister. Or the state actually accepts that beyond a point, a city would be graduated to becoming a self-governing institution, but then it will be, imagine cutting that off. And the only time they decided that Bombay should be cut off from Maharashtra, we practically had a civil war in that area. And this was the 50s. I shared everything would happen now. So that's an issue that really, this is something.
Actually, in the 74th Amendment, we have the DPCs and NPCs, which actually effectively are meant to do this. The metropolitan committees and the district planning committees, metropolitan planning committees, they are supposed to take the plans from different areas, and that would really mean that there is an integration at the district level or the metropolitan level. It has somehow not happened. So probably a similar kind of structure somewhere which works. Because again, in the district planning committee, the politician is the head. And because they said the rural and urban integration also has to be there.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, they looked at the district. And if that happens, probably some part of what you're talking about will be taken care of, but then that's not the city level, that's the district level.
Right.
So probably at the city level, we need some kind of actually not city, the NPCs would really work, because it is at that level that the integration of the agglomeration area should also take place, because it's not just the city but all the areas around the city that would need to be brought together. So yeah, I think we should look at these.
I would suspect to have the authority.